looking for a new car. Which one's me? A new convertible or an SUV? Nobody told me that they'd spend billions of dollars to get these songs stuck in your head. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a time when advertising commercials were fun. And sometimes a few will pop up every so often that are still kind of fun, I'll admit. But they do these things on purpose. They get these things in your head on purpose. This is all on purpose. It's structured. They spend millions, potentially billions of dollars to figure out what's going to drive the masses to hear that song and think, I need to go to freecreditreport.com. Now, I love those commercials because I grew up on those commercials. And the guy, and I think some of the guys from those videos are all in the same band. I know the singer he's got a band called God Against God. Great. They're actual musicians, so that's cool. It's not just dumb jingles. They legitimately are musicians. But this stuff has all been tailor-made to pull people in and be excited about commercial. Why am I excited about a commercial? Why do I love hearing that jingle? $5 foot long, any foot long. I'm gonna remember that jingle for probably my entire life, and it was by design. And I can't fault them too much, right? To some degree, you have to be able to advertise your product. If you don't advertise your product, people might not necessarily find out about your product, and if people don't necessarily find out about your product, people might not necessarily use your product, right? So to some degree, I understand. They have to have commercials. And sometimes they have to have really catchy commercials, especially if they're in an incredibly competitive field. Like car insurance, stuff like that. I'm genuinely not surprised that every single car insurance company spends buku amounts of money on their commercials. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there with the hot tub. I understand why they do it. I can only fault to some degree because, honestly, until I had an interaction with somebody that I learned what State Farm was, I would have never known about State Farm had it not been for those commercials. I live in California, and Liberty Mutual is not available in California. So the only reason I know the Liberty is because I see those commercials. Otherwise, I would have never known Liberty Mutual exists. So I get it. I get why we have advertisements. I get why we have catchy jingles for songs. I mean, one of the most famous commercials I can think of, at least in America, is if you have a structured settlement and you need cash now, well, who do you call? J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Freudian slip. But my point being, this stuff's not done on accident. They don't just come up with the fun jingle on accident. There's not somebody in the background's like, nobody's gonna like this. This is just gonna get seats in the door and that's it. No, these are specially crafted. These are purposely manipulated into a way to make people entertained by something. So they go out and do something based on that criteria. Where it's more effective is day-to-day stuff that we need constantly. Like food. McDonald's commercials can sometimes be pretty creative. Wendy's commercials can be pretty creative. Subway, for instance. You know what my favorite fast food commercials used to be? Was the Little Caesars commercial. I remember one where they were fishing or something, and this guy pulls up a fish, but it's actually a Little Caesars pizza box. And, I mean, this stuff is all carefully tailored. And again, I can't really fault the company too much. I do understand to some degree you have to have marketing. So I don't really blame that. The point of this video is less to bash on the creativity that does go into these things. Because to be fair, to be absolutely fair, not every commercial that you see is made with predatory intentions. The people behind it might be, but the people actually making the commercials are working class people like you and me. That band I was talking about, God Against God, when they did those freecreditreport.com commercials, these are probably legitimate musicians at the time trying to make a name for themselves, and they get this opportunity to make these commercials for freecreditreport.com. They're going to take it, right? They want to make money. So the intentions, albeit predatory, the executions of it, probably not so much. And it works, right? This kind of marketing works because people do it. It's kind of like scams. I'm not saying scams would go away overnight, but a lot of the reason scams keep working and keep being sent out is because they keep working. And a lot of the times, even the really stupid scams, have you ever actually, not necessarily opened it up, but have you ever sat and looked at an email of one of the scams you get and read like at least the header? You know how sometimes your mail inbox will show you like the first two sentences? Have you ever actually read that and been like, there ain't no fucking way I'm falling for this, right? There ain't no way. It'll have like, try good sex, good, yes. Large, enlist. Sex, yes. Classroom. And you're like, yeah, that totally seems legit. Yeah, that, I'm gonna click on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know? But they keep doing that, even as some of these scams seem incredibly incoherent. There's not a chance in hell somebody could fall for it. Well, hate to break it to you folks, people fall for it all the time. And it's sad. We as humans have this inept might not be the right word. We have this ability to sometimes turn blinders on to risk, to danger. You know, we as humans have evolved over a long period of time to the point where the same dangers that we used to deal with, like getting eaten by dinosaurs and alligators and hell, mosquitoes the size of your head, some of that's real, some of it's not. But like we've evolved over so many generations where we don't have those same dangers. So to some degree, we've adapted and evolved past the point of recognizing when we're in danger. Not all the time, and not every situation. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying every single aspect of danger is forgotten in the human psyche. But we have gotten to a point where we're less aware of a lot of dangers. Either through deception, either through just marketing correctly, people pretending to be safe. Like, you see commercials all the time of insurance companies saying they're like your friendly neighbor. We're less aware of that danger because we've been kind of conditioned to be less afraid of it, to be more manipulative or manipulated by the world around us. And it's by design. Like, you ever watch those movies where there's this dude on the street, he's saying, oh, the government fucked me, they did this and that, you know, they're shouting all kinds of stuff. That's probably how I sound to some people. But I think a lot of people are starting to realize that a lot of that, like, talk is based on something. There is some concern there that we should be aware about, and not enough people are aware of it. I don't look at, because I'm still fairly overweight, I haven't had fast food in over 2 months. Part of it was for my own health. I realized I needed to get off of it for my own health, and I'm making other changes too, and I've started going back to the gym so I can get out of this unhealthy shell I'm in. Another part of it was recognizing I've been manipulated by these commercials. I've been brainwashing myself because of these things into thinking this stuff is worth a damn. Like McDonald's, for instance. Even back when they were still incredibly cheap, I used to go and I get the 2 cheeseburger meal. They're small patties, and you get fries and a drink. I used to get that a lot, especially when I'd get off work, because I'd be hungry as fuck when I got off work, especially if I was incredibly stressed out. I used to love to stress eat. I still kind of do stress eat. I try to make sure that my stress eating is more healthy now, because that's something that I've had a hard time getting around. But I still do and used to stress eat. So I get off work after a long day of work. I know I have food at home. And if I don't want what I have at home, I could easily run by Rayleigh's or Safeway or something and just grab something different. Something still healthy, but different if I'm not really feeling what I have at home. I don't have a lot of leftovers because I just don't make enough to really have leftovers, so I do have to cook. And I got myself in that mentality. I'm like, well, I'm tired from working all day. I've had a really stressful day. I don't feel like cooking when I get home. So I'm going to run to McDonald's, have somebody else cook for me. Now, before anyone says it, I'm not saying we need to just completely stop going to these places, because, you know, people would be losing their jobs if we stopped going to these places. What I'm trying to get at with this video, my point I'm trying to make, is be more conscious of the decisions you're making and why you're making these choices. Are you going to McDonald's because you're genuinely hungry? Probably don't go to McDonald's if you're genuinely hungry. Because I, as a fat ass, can tell you that every time I've gone to McDonald's when I'm genuinely hungry, I always leave incredibly unsatisfied. I still feel hungry. And this is leaning on conspiracy theory. I think that's intentional. I think it's intentional that when you eat something at like McDonald's or Burger King, especially if you're a fat ass, you're not going to leave satisfied. You're going to say, maybe I have enough room for dessert. Maybe I'm going to get a milkshake or a McFlurry or something. Hell, maybe I'll get some chicken nuggets. I can get a few more chicken nuggets. It's intentional, I think. But that's leaning kind of in the conspiracy side of things. I can't confirm or deny that. I've never seen enough evidence to prove that. That's kind of leaning on conspiracy. But I do think it's possible that they've manipulated the food in such a way where it's not going to completely satisfy you. Now, I will say the buffet is absolutely like that. I've never been to a buffet and could only eat one plate of food. I can eat like 5 or 6 plates of food and still be hungry. Not anymore. They really don't have any buffets anymore. There's only one near me anymore, so and that's just too expensive. Going off on a tangent. Anyway, all this marketing is all on purpose. All these jingles, commercials, you're always going to have it in the back of your head. Whether or not you know it or not, or are conscious of it, it's always in the back of your head. I guarantee you, if you grew up with commercials like J.G. Wentworth, or if you grew up with like the freecreditreport.com commercials, or maybe even the E-Trade commercials, the original Geico commercials, so easy, a caveman could do it. Hell, back when the gecko didn't even speak, like, if you grew up with those, if you saw those a lot, You could be minding your own business, haven't seen that commercial in like 10 years, maybe. Somebody's walking by you and they're just like, 877 cash. You're going to instantly think of J.G. Wentworth. Instantly. That jingle, you could hum it. People are going to, it's synonymous with the J.G. Wentworth commercials. It's going to be immediate. And they know that. They've done it on purpose. I mean, they're taking the same formula that any song would do, right? Like, your favorite songs, you remember them because of how catchy they are. Or maybe something specific about the song, like maybe it uses a specific tone, or, I don't know, even a frequency. They've utilized these techniques of what people are interested in against us. Now, I don't want to sit here and state, like, well, stop doing this stuff. Like, you got to use your own brain. You have to think for yourself. You have to decide if these jingles or commercials are really what's important, and you're going to do these things because of these commercials. Anymore, when I see a commercial for something, I'm trying to be really conscious of what I'm hearing and seeing, because I don't want to be manipulated into something. TikTok is doing... I can't necessarily only blame TikTok for this. It does come down to the individual user. But TikTok does not make it easy for people to avoid just these snippets of commercialism. Capitalism is running rampant. You hear or see these little snippets of things, and you just have it in the back of your mind for the rest of the time. It's perfectly well encapsulated. There's a content creator that I used to follow on TikTok when I still had TikTok. They make really cool edits. They themselves are awesome. I don't have TikTok anymore. I tried to find them on YouTube. I didn't remember what their name was. You know how I found them? It was through the camera that they were advertising. I didn't find their account. I don't even know if I'm following their account. I think I might be following just the corporate account that happens to have their editing on it. Now, don't get me wrong, go get your bag, sis. Like, you gotta do what you're gonna do to survive. I'm just saying, like, I remember, the part that I remember the most, because I couldn't remember the name of their username on TikTok, was the camera they used. Because a lot of the editing that they would do was because they got sponsored by this camera company. So that's what I remember to look for when I tried to find them on YouTube. It's that little part in the back of my brain that I remember. That little piece of the marketing and advertising that absolutely worked. I was manipulated into thinking only about that camera. Now, I'm not saying in that specific case that the company has used this person and knows absolutely what they're doing, and is just, they don't care about this creator. But they did know what they were doing as far as marketing goes. They chose this creator for a reason. They knew this creator would be able to do exceptional things with their product. And you know, that's fine. But again, the point of this video is just to kind of help people be aware of that form of advertising. You don't have to see something and immediately think you have to buy it. You don't have to hear a jingle and think you have to go on the website really quick and order 10 of them. Now, it just comes down to personal preference and personal opinion and what you're willing to put up with, you know? If you hear a McDonald's commercial and it makes you hungry for a cheeseburger, you go to McDonald's, that's great. You do you. I just want you to know you don't have to go to McDonald's just because of that jingle, just because it's convenient. I'm going to make another video on convenience at another point. I've done a video on that before, but I deleted it many, many moons ago. but it's a convenience. I know, because I experienced it firsthand, how convenient it is to go to a place because it's easy. Because I don't want to cook. I don't want to cook, so I'm going to stop at McDonald's and I'm going to grab a burger. I don't want to cook, so I'm going to go to Taco Bell. I forgot to bring food today, or I chose not to bring food today, so I'm going to run over to Jack in the Box and get something for lunch. Like, it's a conscious choice you have to make. Don't make it because you were manipulated into a sense of advertising. If you want to go get McDonald's, great. I think everything in moderation is great. If you want to go eat McDonald's, go eat McDonald's. But don't do it because you feel like you have to, because you were told to in a shitty commercial. Now, I want to also make it clear, I don't know if I made it clear enough, I don't think necessarily that the people that put in to work on these commercials are the problem. I think a lot of people that help build these commercials are incredibly gifted people, incredibly talented. That's why they get these gigs. That's why they're asked to make these commercials and jingles and what have you. Again, for example, that one guy that's in the God Against God band, I can't remember his name. Like, these are talented people that work on these things. Hell, if I got the opportunity to be in commercials as an actor, even if I was just some background character, I'd be all for it. I think that'd be fucking awesome. Do I agree with capitalism and stuff? No, but I kind of need money to live. So sometimes you have to be able to balance, right? You have to be able to balance what you do. And I just want people to understand that you can make conscious choices one way or the other. If you don't feel like eating something, or if you do feel like eating something, don't do it because you saw it on a commercial. Do it because you genuinely want that. Like, I haven't had fast food for 2 months and I would kill for Taco Bell right now. Like, I absolutely would pig out on their tacos. I like their tacos. They're not the greatest tacos in the world, but hell, they're good enough for me, man. Tacos are delicious. I'd kill for a taco right now. I wouldn't actually kill. I'm just saying, it's a turn of phrase. Like, Taco Bell tacos were delicious. And I had it for over 2 months. And it sucks, but it is what it is. I have to keep up with this. I have to do it for myself, both mentally and physically. And if I really want tacos, I can make them at home. I don't have to get like crazy ingredients. There's not a lot that goes into a taco that you can't really do at home. But again, it's convenience, right? Part of Taco Bell is convenience. I don't want to spend half an hour sometimes making all the ingredients for a taco. Sometimes I just want to run to the taco shop and just get a taco made by somebody else. But again, point in this video, don't do things because you feel like you have to, because you've been marketed to think something. Don't do it for that reason. Do it because you want to. Don't buy that $10,000 wedding ring because Kay Jewelers had this really funny commercial with Andrew Garfield. Buy that $10,000 wedding ring because you like that $10,000 wedding ring. And you think your spouse is going to like that $10,000 wedding ring. Do it because you want to do it. Not because you were advertised to do it. That's all.